Oh man, a little bit of technical difficulties to start out. I tried to add a frame of Yes Car 3D coming up, but hey, not a problem. Welcome in. I am Big Duke. This is Big Duke's Virtual Race Hub. We have a pre-recorded guest tonight. I'm trying to find where we are. Here we go. All right. So we have a pre-recorded guest tonight, Mr. Brayton Laster, Pizza Man. You may know him as Pizza Man, driver of the '06 Arca Chevrolet at Daytona, and he says in an interview a Toyota and a Dun. Uh, I can't remember what he said, but he's going to be running out in Phoenix. He had to go to down to Tennessee this evening to fix the car. They tore it up a little bit at Daytona. I had a left rear blowout, I believe, and kind of looped it and tore some stuff up, but mainly cosmetic stuff. But we've been running a lot of Daytona and Atlanta on the sim, and there's one particular instance that happened in the hang on in the cup race that really kind of took me off into a tangent. The Joey Logano, Ricky Stenhouse kerfuffle, if you will. Now, thanks, Chris. I appreciate it. Your favorite part of Thursday night. I appreciate it. So I was talking to Mr. Burns here in the chat over the last couple nights, and he was dead set that it was 22's fault. And I said, "Well, hold on." I said, "Let's take about let's back it up and kind of look at it." And I related myself into the simulator, what I see, what I saw happen, and what I have seen in the simulator. Now, you can call me crazy, you can call me nerdy, and that's fine. And I would agree with you. But the fact is that these teams all have simulators. You all hear them talk about simulator this, simulator that. We're on the sim. Um, what's up, Brady? Hey, how's it going, Brady? Welcome in. So you hear the drivers talk about that, and then so when I saw the incident between the 22 and the 47, I saw a completely different incident. I saw the 22 get into the back, the 47 come down, and the 22 was to his bumper enough to cause it to when the 47 come down the block, it got the 47 out of shape. Now, that's where the question is, what does I'm there? What does I'm there mean? Well, late in the race, if you throw a block and you come down and my nose is far enough on the inside in the inside to make your car wiggle, at the end of the race, I'm there. I'm there. So like I got a guy on my back. If you look at the pipes in Joey's car, a little bit of flame comes out. He does get off the throttle a little bit. He can't jam the brake. There's no way he gets on the brake there with a guy pushing him behind. So what does he do? He's got to maintain his momentum the best he can. Like I said, he hit the brake, or not hit the brake. He let off the gas. So in the sim, I've had the exact same situation happen in simulator. You got a guy pushing you. You get into the back of somebody. It always and he wash up. And it's not because you tried. Whether you got a little bit momentum and he comes down to block, or you're getting pushed and you got enough momentum to get into the back of him to get him out of shape. Once he gets washed up, and Joey's there, like they're there at that point, like, and you saw Stenhouse tried to come back down, but where's Joey going to go? Where's Joey going to go at that point? There's a line behind him. And you can't jack the brake right there. The best you can do is try to feather the throttle, and I believe he did, and they ran out of room. So relating that back to the sim, I completely saw a different instance of whose fault was it anyway. And I got to put more of it on the 47, but I feel kind of justified in that too, because I saw Denny's comment about he put more of the blame on the 47 than on the 22, and I would tend to agree with him on that. So that's what I saw during that race. That's definitely directly related to the sim, and I'm looking forward to Atlanta. But big news with iRacing this week. We have a big update. The new connection, black flag to the garage, to the pit road, whatever you want to call it. Um, there, so just I'll run it down. So there are a few sim racing experiences more frustrating than being out of the track, being out on the track with racers who are dealing with network problems. It could be your internet. Um, it could be your what you call it, your computer. It could be a storm coming through. No, actually, it's Coke Zero, just Coke Zero today. It could be a storm coming through your area and just kind of messing up your connection. So what's going to happen now is it looks like the way I read it, it hasn't happened to me, and I haven't heard anybody have it yet. But there's a connection flag system where it looks like it's going to kick you straight to pit road, and you can either ghost drive from there, but you won't be able to rejoin the race until your connection improves to a point to where it's acceptable. I applaud iRacing for doing this. Fantastic update. Uh, I did see a girl that works for iRacing in Daytona when I was down there. She was walking by. She had on an iRacing shirt. Of course, I stopped her and confirmed that NASCAR 25 is coming in the fall. I did read some developers notes today. They got a cool little developer series. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like a developer's diary, if you will. But there's a career mode coming out. It's going to be a fantastic game. It looks it's kind of like a Dirt to Daytona without the dirt part, if you will. Looking forward to it. I might have to see about getting me a might see about getting me a PlayStation or something to play it. But it looks like it's going to be a really fun game. But speaking of Daytona, check this out. Look at did it not come up? It's not going to come up. Oh, wow. Man, that's a bummer. Hang on just a sec. What? Well, I ran into Taylor down in Daytona in the fan zone. I had a picture here and it's not going to pull up. Let's see if I can. Hang on just a second. Let's see here. Oh, that's a bummer, man. There it is. Do we get. There we go. Do we have that? So I ran into Taylor in the fan zone randomly. I had texted her that morning. This was on Saturday. I had texted her. I said, "Hey, where you at?" She said, "Headed to the track." She kind of slept in just a little bit. But I I had ran into her, me and a friend of mine. Hang on just a second. Technology, gotta love it. Me and a friend of mine, which I need to update this next slide because I thought I had him in there, but I do not. So I don't know where that came from. Let's see here. Is that it? Nope, wrong one. Hang on just a second, y'all. I got to give a shout out here to my guy, Jarhead. Here we go. Okay. So I was at Daytona, went there Saturday, and I was walking around, and randomly Sean here come up, and he said, "Hey man, I'm Jarhead off TikTok and Twitch," and me and him hung out all day long. And when I say all day, I bet we walked 20 miles. I got there at about 9:30 Saturday morning. I didn't. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened out of the fast lane. It was like me and Sean were walking through the fan zone, And I wasn't even really paying attention. And I hear, hey, and I looked up, I was like, oh, hey, it's you. Like, and it was like, oh, hey, nice to meet you. And it was just, I don't know, maybe 45-second interaction. Hey, nice to meet you. Let's snap a picture, yada, yada, yada. We'll see you after a while. And we never saw each other after a while. But Sean and I hung out all day long. Shout out to Jarhead. I feel like I might have hijacked his day, but he was hanging out with me. I was hanging out with him, and I was just introducing him to everybody that I knew. I had a great time. I think he had a really good time. But that's what's funny about this sim racing and sim racing world is, man, you get to meet people, you race with them on the internet, and lo and behold, you meet somebody, you meet them in the, at the track, wherever it may be, and you hang out with them all day, and it's like you've known them for a while. It was a great day, man. I had a tremendous day. Again, there's Taylor and I there in the fan zone. That was a pretty cool meeting. But our guest tonight is Mr. Brayton Laster. We we sat down with him last night. Like I said, he runs the '06. Let's see what he said. Funny you met Caitlin Clark. You know what? Somebody said this the other day, and I didn't see it until somebody said it, and I can definitely see. Maybe that's what I'll do. That's a good idea, dude. I'm not gonna take your joke though, but that's a good joke. I wish I would have thought of that. That's a really good joke. But man, talk about a girl that is absolutely determined and has a vision of what she wants to create. It's pretty special getting to work with her and getting to meet her finally. But again, our guest tonight was Mr. Brayton Laster. He wasn't able to join us tonight. Had to go down to Tennessee, fix the car. They had a little left rear go down in the ARCA race. But the cool thing is Pizza Man. I got to sit down, interview him. He is also a sim racer. I've raced against him on iRacing, I don't know how many times, and he is also an announcer on iRacing. He's called a bunch of the races that I've raced in. So it was really cool. Like finally, you get to watch somebody, see somebody race against somebody, but finally getting to see them and meet them and see them in their element was really really cool. And the cool thing about Brayton is, uh, you talk about like a racer's racer. Underfunded. He didn't have the engine that everybody else had. He was on a horsepower reduction plan, whatever it may be. Not a penalty, I guess a penalty. But they made the show at a rain out. He wasn't running the best, right? But he was hanging in there. And then they got some cautions, a bunch of cautions, a bunch of cars got wrecked out, and he was running on top 20, top 15, I think. I mean, he wasn't really staying with the pack, but hey, he was digging. And I wish I would have traded my pit road view for his view. I can tell you that. But I got my video here loaded up. I want to get into that. It's about a half hour, but hope you guys enjoy it. We're going to be back after the interview with some straight out of talent to wrap the show up. But I present to you now, Mr. Brayton. All right, we're here with Mr. Brayton Laster. He could not be with us tonight on the show. Let's just record it tonight, tomorrow, today, sometime or another. But anyway, coming off his fresh run at Daytona, made the show at Daytona in the ARCA race. Um, I races with us as a sim racer, has been doing it for a while. Brayton, why don't you introduce yourself? And I know the Pizza Man, as we all know him. Thrilled to have you on the show, by the way. Big fan. Really hunted you out several times down there in the ARCA garage. You weren't there the first couple times I came by. I was like, oh well, he'll get there, he'll get there, he'll get there. But really glad to have you on the show. Honored to have you. Thank you very much. Why don't you introduce yourself? Give us a rundown. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, name's Brayton Laster, driver from Indianapolis, Indiana, or just south at Greenwood to be exact for anyone local. I've been racing for about 13, 14 years. I'm now on my fourth season of the ARCA Menards. platform, and it's my first full time year driving the number 06 for Wayne Peterson Motorsports. And that, like you mentioned a little bit there, went down to Daytona and made the show. It was a big Cinderella story for us, and we got a lot of attention because of that. A lot of big social media posts blew up overnight about our story and kind of how cool and how grassroots it was, and so that was pretty neat. And then obviously going down there, it's always a pretty surreal moment getting to go down there and to not even compete, just to be at the track during Daytona 500 weekend and run into so many awesome friends and meet new friends for the first time, like yourself. I think that was the first time we've met
Yes, it
down there,
was.
so that
It
was
absolutely
pretty
was.
cool.
Yeah, so that the first time I went through the tunnel, I never obviously have been as a race car driver, right? I've been as a crew member several times. One of the funnest cars I worked on was with Miss Kim Crosby at the Boudreaux's Butt Pace car. So that was fun. When she drove that for Rick Ware, we thrashed on that thing for a while. But man, going through that tunnel for the first time as a crew member was cool. I can't imagine what it was like knowing, hey, I'm going through here and it's race day. Like I'm gonna race here today. Like that must have been really, really cool.
The first time going through it, or the 100th time going through it, never really gets old. And you've driven, like I said, you've seen the murals on the wall, and the murals get you every time. Seeing the moments, the races, everything that's happened at this track, and it reminds you, hey, we're here at Daytona. Like all
Yeah.
these awesome moments have happened at this track, and you're competing at a track of legends. The road center racing, and
Yep.
as a driver, you're getting to compete at, and the crew guys even. I know how much it means to the crew guys to get to go down there and to work on a car that is even having a remote shot at competing. So like when we made the race down there were tears. I mean, there were a lot of tears. There were a lot of hugs. It was a big emotional moment for us and the crew and everyone to know, hey, come Saturday, if it doesn't rain out, we're gonna be racing. And we were the only car that 47 cars, I think, technically going for 40 spots, and we were the only car out of 47 with a, it's called a legacy motor. So the entire ARCA field was running what's called a spec Ilmore. It's the same motor that the truck series runs. Bordy can run the legacy motor, which is like the old SB2, the old Dodge motors, the old Ford motors, like the Ford D3, the Ford C3, like what they ran in Cup like 20 years ago. And we are the only team running one of those motors, so we got a pretty hefty horsepower penalty because of that. So we knew that going down, like, hey, if you make it, we're gonna party all night long. But
Right.
you know, we're not expecting to make the show down here. And anything can happen. It's Arca. Anything can happen. And so when we made the
That
show,
is correct.
yeah, that was a pretty big moment for us. Like I said, there were a lot of tears that were shed, and there were tears of happiness and hugs and excitement from everyone all around.
I did get a really cool picture of back towards the starting of the race on pit road. I got a really cool pano shot of your pit stall in general because it's really neat, right? Like you see the all the track house, right? And they got all the pit
Oh yeah,
pit, whatever
it's almost
whatever
like
you
an
want to call it.
entertainment stand. They got 12
It
seats up there,
is.
four TVs.
It
They got
is.
coolers, refreshments. It's first class, is what it is.
And you roll down here to the '06, and we've got like
A Harbor Freight
folding camping
pit box.
chairs, and
Yeah.
it's like there's so many people that represent that car on that
Mhm.
track. And I'm not gonna say that the other teams, it means less to them, because it certainly doesn't. But there's something about watching the little guy get there. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like there's something about it. So it's really, I got a really cool pano shot of your pit stall. I'm going to send you
That's
tomorrow
cool.
or something. But it was like I got the World Center racing kind of in the background. It was a really cool shot. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. But you mentioned earlier with the social media stuff. So let's switch gears and kind of and go to that. The iRacing, the sim racing. I know you do a lot of broadcasting. That keeps you all busy within what a sponsor is looking for. People don't understand that just because the name is on the race car, it doesn't stop there, right? You
Mhm.
carry that through everything you do within your social media interactions, within your iRacing. So that's kind of what I want to switch gears to is your social media, your iRacing. How do you use that to stay sharp as a racer? Do you use that as a tool to stay sharp as a racer? I know you said, this year's your first time in ARCA full time.
Mhm.
You've done it a few here or there. So, it seems like maybe your schedule might be sporadic here or there. Do you use sim racing as a tool to stay sharp?
100%, and kind of two parts of that question. Talking about the iRacing, talking about the social media side of things. I'll kind of focus on the iRacing side. I do a lot of broadcasts for various different people. I do a lot of the Tier One Racing League. I do a lot for Macone Entertainment. We do a lot of stuff with the iRacing itself. Just an hour before recording this, the night before. So hi everyone watching this live when it
Yeah.
premieres or however we're doing
There
that.
we go.
Um, we were doing the Macone C6 race at Atlanta, the top split, 5,400 SOF on the iRacing Twitch and iRacing Facebook. So that was pretty cool. And, kind of use that as, it's always cool to get the, broadcast and, kind of network that way, but kind of put myself in front of a lot of fans and get to meet a lot of these drivers on iRacing. I know them on the track and I get to meet them in person. It's just a really, really cool moment whenever that happens. That happens, a couple times throughout the season, but then using it for a tool for training, I rely on it, a ton. And this is my first full time season. There's I think probably 8 or 9 tracks on the schedule that. Okay, I lied. Probably 6 or 7 tracks on the schedule for the ARCA main platform that I've never gone to before and are on iRacing. But the past couple of years, so like when I ran Kansas the first time, I ran Iowa, when I ran Phoenix, when I ran Watkins Glen, when I ran all these, tracks that require a lot of difficulty, I guess, to drive for the first time. I use iRacing for hours, just kind of getting adapted to it, and it's more or less becoming familiar with the track. Learning where the bumps are, learning the braking points, learning learning like the signage on the wall. Hey, where's there a? That's one thing that iRacing does really good at. I feel like is, hey, if there's a light pole or something outside the track, it's there in real life on iRacing.
Right. Yeah.
So you can kind of use that as a breaking point in different, like Nashville Fairgrounds, for example, has all kinds of banners around the track. Now the banners might change, but the placement of those banners don't change, and so you can kind of use that a little bit. And so I mean, I use it a ton whenever I go to a track for the first time, and then also kind of refamiliarize myself with the track. And so I'll kind of sit there and, the first half of the ARCA schedule, we run a lot with the NASCAR weekend. So, like, Daytona, Phoenix, Talladega,
Right.
Michigan, Kansas, whatever other races we go to, Iowa. So, like the first 6, 7 races are like back to back to back to back to back with the Cup weekends. So, like all those races are going to be on iRacing, and also a lot of leagues will follow the schedule. So I'll try to find a league that like runs, that track, the week of or the week before,
All right.
and kind of go out there and get a lot of practice and just kind of familiarize myself a lot with that. And I also use it a lot kind of for leisure and for fun. I love the week 13 stuff. I love figure eight. I grew up running figure eight. I have a huge figure eight background here in Indianapolis. I was
Man, that figure eight is a different animal. That is a different animal altogether. That
it
takes
really is.
some
Like,
sort of intestinal fortitude that I don't believe I have. That's
if you can super speedway race, you can do figure eight race. Is what I
Phew.
like to say. And like we're not just talking like junkyard, 4 cylinders. These are like full blown outlaw late models are running on a figure eight, $60,000 to $70,000 race cars. And yeah, it gets pretty crazy quick.
Jeez, that's
And
insane.
some of these, we've always kind of been on like the lower end of the totem pole. We've never had a huge budget, kind of second, third hand toss me down stuff and whatnot. And we've been grateful to have a lot of friends and a lot of sponsors throughout the years to help us out with stuff like that. And we've had a lot of success and never got any big wins in the figure eight side of things. But it's very hard to when you don't focus on that 112%. You got to
Right.
go to your max and then some with the figure eight stuff. And I kind of ran that part time for a couple of years, and then the ARCA stuff got started. But as far as iRacing goes, I love week 13. I actually have a figure eight league that I kind of host on and off throughout the season. We do a 3 hour, I'm sorry, 880-minute. Technically, we're not allowed to technically use the term 3 hour figure eight because there's a track here in Indianapolis, my home track, the Speed Rome, where they have a 3 hour figure eight race every year in September that
Oh,
pays $25,000 to win, 20 or 25,000, and so they have that coin, that term coined. So I like to call it a 180-minute figure eight race here on iRacing.
that's
We've
funny.
I know we've had a lot of success though with that. multi-thousand-dollar purses.
Nice.
60, 70, 80 cars going for 20 or 30 spots. So I'm kind of working on getting one of those up and going. And we haven't done one at Slinger yet, which I don't know
That is
how
a
much.
fun figure eight track.
Yeah, I don't know how much of a nightmare a 180-minute figure eight race at Slinger would be on iRacing, but we are going to find out one way or another. We'll probably do it once. We'll probably never do it again because Slinger, it gets tight very quickly when
How
you have
many
more than
how many
15 cars.
cars did you say?
We've normally started like 30. I think Irwindale figure eight will let you start like 32 or 33. So we would normally start at 32 or 33.
That
I
wouldn't be
think
bad, honest. I
I think
mean,
Slinger, they're going to be literally hitting them in the crossover
yeah,
while you're pacing. So
yeah, it'll
like
get spread out eventually.
yeah, when you run out of cars at some point, you'll get down to 10. That's what like the first hour is always just survival, survival, survival. So I always have a lot of fun on those. I really like wacky combinations, like dirt street stocks or the dirt mini stocks on like a rally cross, or like the Volkswagen Beetle on an oval or a
Yes,
road course. I always like the fun combinations like that. Cars on tracks they don't belong.
yes.
Those are always pretty fun.
This
The
the
super speedways.
410 at Wild West actually is fun if you hit
I
some of the
don't
jumps
think
just
I've
right.
tried that.
It's
We
fun
might
if
need
you
to.
hit some of the jumps just right.
We'll
But
have to try that. But the super speedway
so
stuff do have a lot of
so
fun.
the broadcasting aspect of iRacing, that's something when I very first started iRacing, I was like, what the hell? Who's gonna what a broadcast? Like I was not a streamer at all. Like I had no idea. I saw a couple of things on YouTube. There was this guy that had gloves, and I was like, look at this guy. What is his problem? Like, what is this is a joke, right? And here I am, right? Right. We have our gloves, right? And now I'm streaming. Oh, look at me. I'm a truck. I got on a captain's hat, right? And I have a pipe, right? But so how the broadcasting, how'd you get into that? How do you kind of pair that a little bit with getting your name out there? It's obviously easier if you're on camera, right? To get your face and your name out there, it's much easier to do it. So tell us kind of how you pair that broadcasting opportunity to just to engross your social media even a little bit more, and use that as a channel as well.
So I've always been a big statistician. I love stats. I love my stats. I love racing stats in general. I like historic stats. I've always been a big stats guy. I've kind of done some broadcasting stuff in real life from time to time, and that's something too. Like, hey, do you have a lisp, a small speech impediment? How's that work a broadcast? I'm like, well, if people can understand me 80% of the time, that's all they need. So
If you have to rely too much on the broadcaster, your show's really not
ex-
worth
exactly.
it.
And so I've done some stuff from time to time, and with the figure eight league that I ran, I did my own broadcasting for a couple years there, and probably I want to say October 2023. I was kind of looking, not ready for a gig, but the race season had just ended, and I was looking for maybe do some broadcasting on the side to kind of grow my resume with that. And I knew Jeff pretty well, Jeff McConey, and I knew he did broadcasting stuff. And so I literally sent him a message saying, "Hey Jeff, how's it going?" Da, da, da. He knew who I was. We've met each other and worked together for a lot of stuff as far as like driver coaching and whatnot through some of his like driver coaching people that he has. And I'm like, I'm looking to do some broadcasting as a color commentator. Like I love stats. You give me stats, I'll find stats. You tell me like who to find a stat about, I'll find it. And he goes, I have a show open tonight at like 7:15. And it was like 4 o'clock, and I was like, "Sure, I'm game." He goes, "Perfect. It's C6 trucks and iRacing, YouTube, and Twitch and Facebook. You'll have 1,000 people watching you." I'm like, "Oh,
Okay. Right,
great!"
right, right. That's if we're
And
hey,
like the
if
first
we're gonna
one,
go, right?
yeah, first one butchered it. It was terrible. I hate going back and rewatching it. It's because like you know being more than and kind of going back and forth between like a play-by-play and a color because we had a play-by-play guy, but I think it was like Daytona or like Talladega. It might have been iRacing Super Speedway. It was like a pretty fast track combination. We had to constantly keep up with what was happening, so there wasn't like a big opportunity to get a whole lot of stats in there. Had the stats, just couldn't really like, get them in there, and kind of, next couple weeks they get smoother and smoother. And after a couple months, there was a while there, last year where I was doing 3 or 4 shows a week, and some on iRacing stuff. We did the Road to Pro broadcast. That was pretty cool, and we did a lot of league broadcasts. I did some stuff with some other people as well. And so I was doing a lot of shows a week and kind of getting my name out there that way, and joining discords and the biggest thing too is like if you go to a track that's like a NASCAR track, I'm like, hey, I can relate to this. I kind of bring that aspect that most people can't. Most people
Right.
can't say they've driven at Daytona. Most people can't say they've wrecked at Talladega. Most people can't say they've ran Iowa or Kansas or Watkins Glen or Phoenix or you know,
Damn near anywhere.
yeah. So like I kind of bring that aspect to the table, and like a lot of people think that's really really cool. And so I've had it where people walk up to me like I was racing at Salem last year in September. I want to say September, but it was in the middle of the NASCAR or the eNASCAR Road to Pro calendar. And we were just had like I think it was Daytona, might have been Homestead. I forget what it was, but there we had a huge wreck, and like I called the wreck live, and like this guy got up in the fence, and I forget who it was, and as I'm sitting here, like, oh, that's a crazy wreck. But I'm at Salem, week and a half later, and some guy walks up to me and says, hey, you know that guy that got in the fence on the Road to Pro broadcast? I'm like, yeah. He goes, that was me. I was like, how's it going? You
That's
know?
pretty cool.
And
That's
he's like,
really
I just
cool.
want to come by and say, dude, you're awesome. You're killing it. He goes, I appreciate you guys more than ever. I'm like, that's really cool. Thank you so much. And
That
so kind of getting to do stuff like that and network as far as that goes, and meet a lot of really, really, really cool people.
Yeah, that's the interesting story. Like because the gentleman that I was hanging out with there on Saturday at the track, I'd had I just met him that day. He was a follower of mine. He said, "Hey man, I'm Jarhead on Twitch." And I was like, "Yo, hey, what's up, dude?" And I said, "We just walked around all the way. I
That's
bet we walked
awesome.
20 miles together, just hung out all day long." And it was pretty cool. So I hear you on the social media aspect of that. And the ability to network and use that to network too. That's fun. So going back to what we were talking about pre-show, that's a good little segue. Some social media posts, right, going around of you put up a Bucky's air freshener in your car after Daytona. I thought it was damn funny. I tagged Bucky's in your initial one. I mean,
Mhm.
I knew what you were doing. I thought it was brilliant. There's no better way to get exposure than to put yourself out there. And if the right eyeballs see that piece of content,
Exactly.
you never know where it goes. So I hear you. I thought that was brilliant. So you got called out on it a little bit, but not really called out. But you got called out on it. And so I guess completely switching back gears back to the real life racing. Tell us what does it take to show up? I don't think I don't know, man. People know what I know. People know what it takes to show up. I know the person that made that post knows what it takes to show up, but it's almost like they forget what it's like to have to first show up, right? Like
Mhm.
because that's the hardest thing. If you're not some super stud with some big wallet, like in the background, you gotta bootstrap this thing. So just kind of take us through. What does it take for Brayton Lasser to show up and run full time in the ARCA series, and I know for sure what it takes because you seen it in the picture after the rain came, and you're all tears and complete shock that you made the race. Like, so just give us a second and give us, what does it take to show up?
So on top of everything there, and a lot of race car drivers, racing's their full time job, and it comes a lot easier for some than others. A lot of us, regardless at the end of the day, a lot of drivers put in a lot of effort to be able to go out there and compete. Whether you have family funding, and if you have family funding, it's a lot easier to go and focus on the things as a driver you need to focus on. You need go do your sponsorship appearances. You can go work out 8 hours a day. You have your own nutritionist and everything like that, so it's easier to kind of focus on that. For me, obviously, I don't really have a locked in sponsor for every single race this season. I have a couple guys doing maybe 3 or 4 races, but that's about it. So all my funding, all my sponsorship kind of comes individually per race, and very rarely would a CA sponsor be on a big spot in my car for multiple races throughout the season. And on top of that, I also still work a day job here in India. I weld and I fabricate. Mainly, I build AC cages to go over AC units. Like they're steel cages, and you just put them over AC units, and you kind of screw them into the ground and pour concrete because people steal AC units. So I do that for the day job to keep the lights on and keep the bills paid. And, that doesn't pay great. I'm not gonna lie. It pays enough for me to kind of go out here and make sure I got food in the pantry and food on the table and pizza in my belly, but outside of that, it wouldn't pay for the racing. And the racing is all, outside funded, and kind of tying back to the social media side of things. For me as a driver, I have to separate myself somehow, some way. I have to go out here and get the impressions, get the views, get the followers, get my sponsors' products, their logos, their websites, their social media pages in front of people. And
I
there's
can write
no
you. I can write you a book about separating yourself.
so so I have to go out here, I have to stand out.
Yes.
And in a world where you know it's a lot easier, obviously, to go and race 2 or 3 times a year in really good equipment and be good for those 2 or 3 races. But there's nothing that's ever really going to come out of doing that unless you go out there and just absolutely wax a field. Get a manufacturer contract that's a drive that doesn't have a lot of funding. You know, if I go out there and run 2 or 3 races, and that's what I kind of started doing in my career, is running 2 or 3 races with good equipment, and we'd get wrecked, and that'd be that.
Right.
And I wasn't really growing my presence. I wasn't really growing myself, my brand, and so that's where the whole Bucky's thing comes from, and a lot part of that is I got called a gimmick driver, and I have a bit of a gimmick. I have the pizza thing, and it's a little bit. I don't want to say a gimmick, but I just really like pizza. Like
I mean,
I
what's there
went to
not to
middle
like?
like and like I was in middle school. I had a pizza backpack and a pizza hoodie in middle school. Like I wasn't planning on sitting here and being, oh, I'm gonna be a NASCAR driver. This is gonna be my personality in 8 years. No, I just like there's proof that I was every day in middle school. I wore a pizza hoodie. Like you
Right.
can't tell me I'm just sitting here doing it for laughs and impressions. Like it's something I'm passionate about. It's something I really like, and I'm gonna kind of share my hobbies, my interests with other people. And I think that's one reason why people really like me as a driver. They can relate to me a lot easier that way. I express myself very openly as far as what I like, what I don't like. I like to joke around, and I get where a lot of people come from. Hey, this is racing, this is serious business, and I'm serious when I'm on the track.
Right.
But outside of the track, I'm going to be myself. I'm going to show who I am. I'm going to get the engagement from the fans, and not just that, but talking with the fans and communicating with them, getting them, not just getting them engaged, but keeping them engaged. If anyone messages me on Twitter or Discord or Facebook, normally within a couple minutes, I'm like, hey, how's it going? I might
Right.
not have any idea who they are, but I've got a fan for life.
Yep.
So I'm not gonna lie, I completely forgot what the question was this year, but I think I answered it.
I don't know, man. I was just enjoying talking. Like I forgot what it was too. Like I'll be real. We were just chit chatting.
Kind of, I think we were talking about like a day, how to get like Brayton to get into the track. But you saw the what it takes as far as working. I worked at the job and everything, but also getting my own. I do all my own marketing, all my own sponsorship deals. I do a lot of like the mom and pop shop stuff where, hey, $100 to get a small logo on the car, and people are like, oh, your racing's crowdfunded. I'm like, yes and no. I just have the entry or the cost of entry, a lot less than most guys because they don't think it's worth their time. If I can go out here and get 50 people to give me $100, 50 smaller companies, 50 people that want, whatever they want, that's $5,000. That's a set and a half, maybe 2 sets of tires for the weekend. I can go out there and kind of, you know, pick up some speed with that. And
Right.
I put in the time though to do those deals. Sometimes those deals take 5 minutes. Sometimes those deals take. I've had some take 5 weeks for $100.
Right. Right.
And I do that all while working a day job, and whenever I get free time or coming home at night and responding to texts and emails, and that's basically the plan or my strategy is I'll come home at night, I'll eat dinner, I'll watch some YouTube, I'll go on TikTok and watch Big Duke sim racing on there on TikTok or run some Yes Car, and I get 15 or 20 emails kind of ready and type them out, and I'll like schedule send for 9 o'clock in the morning. And then throughout the day, if anyone gets back to me, I'll kind of get back to them. And
There you go.
it doesn't happen. Obviously there's a huge rejection rate for the sponsorship side of things, and at
Yes.
every level.
Yeah.
But I make it happen. I'm passionate about it. I love it, and I could sit back and just go run late models. And we have a lot of our own late model stuff. I build my own late model motors for the most part. Work on my own late model stuff. I do that for fun. I'm not out there setting the road on fire. We're a pretty small team even for that, but I just do it because I'm passionate about it, and I can sit back, and not worry about doing any ARCA racing. I could go do late model stuff and have fun. It'd be a lot easier. It'd be a lot less stressful. I'd get a lot less flack on social media, but
Right.
it is what it is.
So did you say Greenwood, Indiana?
Yes.
Man, I stayed at the Best Western in Greenwood for about no less than 8 months.
Huh.
I built the Amazon right down the big Amazon distribution center. I don't know, back in 2012, probably back somewhere back in there. Home of Texas Roadhouse, surprisingly, right? Texas, the very first Texas Roadhouse was right there in the Greenwood, Indiana Mall. You know that Texas Roadhouse?
That I
That's
did not know that.
that's the very first Texas Roadhouse. You didn't know?
Wow.
Next
I
time you
did.
go there, there's a plaque, and you go into the door there in the Greenwood Mall. There's a plaque there. That's where Texas Roadhouse started. Was there?
Wow, I did not
Bit of
know
trivia
that.
for you.
I actually have to kind of look it up now.
Yeah.
Um, that is incredible.
But you mentioned Yes Car just a little bit ago. I know we have our 87s league kicking off, and we got some duels starting here in just a little bit. So I'm going to splice this interview in for tomorrow night. So while we're going to be live, we're going to be talking to Keith Powell and Kevin Powell tomorrow night too. And we're going to splice this in afterwards. So Brayton, thank you for your time. Where can we find you next on your next race? And then make sure that you email me your social media stuff so I can get it into the title of the show so we can get all
Yeah.
your sponsors recognized too.
Yeah, first place obviously is my website. That's gonna be the easiest place to find everything you need. It's BraytonLaster.com, the name there at the bottom, right there, and it's put .com at the end, right there. I got my schedule, I got my results, I got everything you might need to know, press releases, videos, photos, and more. Facebook though, I do a lot of stuff on Facebook. That's at Brayton Laster. I have an athlete page there and Brayton Laster Motorsports to kind of keep up with our local late model stuff. We share stuff there. Twitter, big one on Twitter. That's where I do a lot of posting of whatever I'm doing that day. That's over at X. Not
Oh
Twitter
yeah,
anymore. It's
yeah,
X.
that's right, that's right, that's right.
At the One Pizza Man. Surprise, surprise. And then Instagram and TikTok are also just at Brayton Laster. So pretty straightforward, pretty simple. But yeah, that's about it. And it's pretty cool, pretty calm, pretty collected, and obviously talk about the sim racing stuff too. One of the cool deals I got out of that is I don't know if you know or are too familiar with the wheel game, but I was able to kind of use the whole power of sim racing. Got a sponsor, Camus. They do a lot of
Nice.
wheels and pedals, so kind of tie in back to our conversation earlier
There you
of
go.
the whole sim racing stuff. So
There you go.
that was pretty cool.
Perfect. Well, Brayton, I appreciate your time. Good luck coming up
We're in
in
Phoenix.
Phoenix. Yep,
Yep, you forgot about that too. Yeah,
that's
March
right. Yeah.
7th on Fox Sports 1 at 8 p.m. Eastern. I'll be driving the purple. Unless we get a big sponsor to pay for a full wrap between now and the next 2 weeks, I'll be in the purple and black Dodge. We call it a Dodge because it is a Dodge chassis from Ganassi. It's a 2001 2002 Ganassi chassis or Sabco chassis with a Dodge motor in it and a Toyota Camry body. So we call it the Dodge.
The Taj. That's awesome. Well, man, good luck down there. Thank you very much for your time. Looking forward to racing with you more on iRacing and maybe seeing you at the track if I'm out there here or there.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir, Brayton. Have a good night. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
All right, boys. Hey, that was a phenomenal interview. I love talking to Brayton. So we had a segment that debuted last week, and this week we had a couple clips sent in. I'm looking for a jingle, if you will, an intro song uh, for my straight out of talent segment. So this week we had a couple of clips sent in by Rickle Frats from TikTok. If anybody's out there on TikTok, check out Rickle Frats, our guy Rickle Frats. So we're coming in to turn 3 in Daytona in the 87s. This looks like this might be a Yes Car 3D, but I thought maybe that was going to be it in turn 4. But coming out of 4, it looks like they run out of room. And our boy just goes for an absolute tumble. I mean, a tumble, if you will. Rickle Frat, straight out of talent. I think that was a Yes Car 3D. And then, unfortunately, our boy was headed for a win here
Yeah, no, it works great though. And then,
in the road.
like I've told
Oh,
you before,
oh! I didn't realize we had sound here. He that was coming out of that was coming to the it was a white flag lap, and and then he backs up. So he ran out of talent there, and let's go back and look at this. So he runs straight out of talent, coming to the the white flag, a little hot in the braking zone, but he recovers, and we get a little bit of backwards driving, a la Mater, if you will. So maybe he's not as out of talent as what he thought, unless he does something stupid here. Let's see. Nah, pretty straightforward. Pretty straightforward for Rickle Frats. That's not so bad. All right, so if anybody out there has a little jingle, a little intro jingle for straight out of talent, whether it be I don't know, some sort of musical, obviously, an instrumental deal. But if anybody wants to help me out, I would gladly appreciate it. But where we at? So that was straight out of talent. Rickle Frats, thank you for the two clips you sent in. It was me last week, getting on the pit road and jacking up the entire field. Well, from seventh or eighth on back, I absolutely jacked them up. But I appreciate everyone for tuning in. Great crowd tonight. Excellent chat with Pizza Man, Mr. Brayton Laster. You guys make sure that you're checking out the comments. I put his website and all of his social medias there in the comments. Go check out Brayton Laster. See if there's a chance maybe you can partner with him going racing here in the future in a town near you, on the ARCA series. Maybe a little business to business exposure, and help a man out. So but hey, thanks everyone for tuning in. We're going to jump out. We got Yes Car Truck Series. I'm going to jump on Never Pines broadcast. We're going to end this. Going to get back on TikTok for a second, maybe, and check out Never Pines broadcast of the Yes Car Truck Series. And then tomorrow night we have our Yes Car 300, I believe, with the 87s. And then we're going to have the Yes Car 3D. I'm not sure when I'm going to jump in, but those start at 11, 11:20, 11:40, and midnight. Same thing on Saturday night, Yes Car 3D. 3-lap shootouts, no damage, no cautions, 6X DQ, 87. So they are fun. Championship belts are awarded at the end of the season. And working on a sponsor for a diecast for bonus points, champion. So if anybody out there, we're working on that. But we're going to head on out of here, y'all. I appreciate everything. And thanks for tuning in. You guys keep digging.